Okay, all right.
So, the policies under consideration, process of communication in advance of publication.
I still have not gotten that done, and clearly that's part of what we're doing now. But I do have a new item for you that literally came up this afternoon. And I'll hold this one, which is the one that you signed.
Thanks.
We can work that check.
So this is a resolution. I went to the bank, one of the local banks that has tenant association funds in it. And they wouldn't let me talk to them about the accounts, even though the accounts have been sitting there, as you can see, for
Yes.
years. And at times, we actually get penalties on these, and they have big balances. Two of these accounts are for Melrose, which doesn't have an association anymore. And we have, for all the tenant associations, we've taken the accounting and the check requisition, all the money matters in-house. And we have I think a very good written procedure that we share with all the tenants on how they can go about getting money, what are the numbers of tenants that want to have a picnic, or whatever it is. So we have that. Lorelei did a really good job of creating that. We have our part-time accounting person is really on it. And I think my understanding is that the resident associations understand why we need to do this. We have some treasurers that were really good, and then we had some that were not so good. And this is both their money that they fundraise for, but it's also money that they get from HUD. So we are responsible for that. So we've consolidated it, we put out these policies. I think that's all good. But I went to ask about these accounts, and I was told I could do nothing with them. And the names on these accounts dated back to 2009. So, and he wouldn't tell me them, but he said, well, just, guess. And I was like, 2009, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So the bank asked that there be, they said just the minutes, but I thought if you actually adopted this resolution, it would be something we could bring to the bank and just have the signers on these accounts, at least right now, be myself and Christine. We might add additional signers, but just to get this done.
Absolutely, so that you would consolidate the 4 accounts.
We would actually close them from this bank.
So that once you have that authority, you can close them and open a residual account.
We would,
with
yes.
A different bank or the same bank?
Different bank.
Okay.
And so we would have them all at the same bank, at the bank that knows who we are, that we do a lot of business with, where it's more straightforward and we can do these more easily.
Any comments, questions from the commissioners?
Then it would be consolidated into one account?
No, I talked to Mary about it. The previous finance manager had talked about maybe putting them all into one account. But Mary feels that we should leave them as separate accounts. So for each association, there are 2 accounts. One is the tenant's money and one is the HUD money, and we keep those
Okay,
separate.
that's a good reason to keep it
Yeah,
separate.
yeah,
Because we have more control over the one than the other.
absolutely,
Yes.
yes. We have more responsibility over the HUD money.
Yes.
A lot. When I was looking at this, I was remembering that Christine and some of her group had been talking about how to get money for programs. And then I was looking at this and I was going, wow, this money's just sitting in a bank. And this could, rent a van. So I think we need to get a little better control over it.
We have a resolution 429-2019 in front of us. And, any further questions about it? Pat, any questions from you? Do I hear a motion to adopt this resolution?
Motion, yes.
So,
Okay.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? The resolution is passed.
Blue pen. Right?
Yes.
Go to the bank,
Yes.
see if we can get this moving.
to another bank, a better bank.
Well, the banker was very nice, and I totally understand their rules, so.
If the last contact was from 2009, I can see why.
Yeah.
Well, it's curious that the most recent statements are 3 years old.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that the bank failing some responsibility, or?
Well, I don't think so. I think that they may have been, we also have one other account where the bank statements were going to a resident. So,
Okay.
these statements could be going to a resident, they could be going anywhere, we don't know.
Well, so after this change, that'll be fixed.
They'll all come to us.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I actually did not know we had this kind of balance in these two accounts.
Is there more that we need to say about the policies under consideration? Process of communication?
No, I think we
I think we've covered
talked
that.
about it,
Yeah.
and we know, we have a sense of what we want to be doing.
We're going to move on to the Orange Portfolio Manager Report.
It looks like I don't
No.
have the right package.
Hmm.
That's my bad.
I'll share it
Oh,
with you.
okay.
Thank you.
Pretty good line.
And we've covered the last
Yeah,
comment about
yeah.
overgrown shrubbery at Moore Court has been removed. At the time of this report, Ace Court is scheduled. Contribute to a cleaner appearance, puts us in compliance with HUD requirements, and has facilitated lawn maintenance. And now you know that there are other concerns.
Mm-hmm.
The maintenance staff performed snow removal over the winter, been successful in completing apartment turnovers very quickly. Now, as I remember, last year you had contracted some snow removal.
Some, and we still do
Okay,
in some of in the commercial properties.
okay. And the capital needs, capital fund planning for RAD or resident assistance demonstration?
Rental assistance.
Rental
demonstration.
assistance.
Yes.
That kept all of my.
Oh, I know.
Final needs assessment report has been provided,
Mhm.
proposed amended capital plan for 2018 to address critical,
Yeah.
non-critical needs.
And Jack has put all of this into the electronic system.
Wow.
So,
That's great. So,
it's good.
we move on then to the, let me just tuck this underneath. Right, families, self-sufficiency managers,
The
resident services coordinator.
Property
such.
managers, next to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was portfolio manager, not
Mm.
property manager.
Mhm.
Okay. Property manager is pink.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I have all the wrong colors today.
Mm, dear. So, A.W. Richards is fully occupied, Red Clover Commons is moving some people. Are
Mhm.
these considered overhoused people?
Yes, overhoused and underhoused.
Meaning that if you had been a couple in an apartment, or had 2 bedrooms and now have only 1 person, you get transferred to a smaller apartment in order to make
Mhm.
that very limited available. And Melrose annual recertification package has been sent out. How many people are living in Melrose now?
25, actually 27, I think. Yeah, 27,
The attached reports for rent collection, performance, and move-in, move-outs. Well, Melrose and Hayes and Moore Court at 93.3. How wonderful rental collection.
I know.
And Ledgewood is at 81,
That's really good.
which is.
Yeah. Even,
And Red Clover Common at 94, almost 95.
and even though she has a note, Ledgewood and SEA collection is down to a few residents in litigation, but even so, it's 81 and 93, so
That's really good.
that's a 94 overall. That's terrific.
So that the work with individual residents around trying to organize their finances so they get rent paid is really paying off.
It is, and I also think, I think the support is paying off. I think also, the property management is really stepping in very quickly and sort of identifying problems very quickly and holding people accountable. I think the fact that we got rid of rental agreements has really helped residents because people would form rental agreements and then it was almost like racking up debt. And it was very hard to pay off. And so, so that has really helped us. But I do think the support programs as well and the collaboration between the property management, just being able to get in there early, communicate quickly, has helped.
So wellness services monthly board report.
Sure.
You're
So,
present, so
Yeah.
you can tell us instead
Or
of.
if you have any questions, I know we give this big report. So the Wellness and Services Group has been working again, we work all the time on them, every week. So that's a big component of what we do. We also work with resident issues. So we had a lot of hospitalizations towards the end of winter, a lot of people just needing a lot more support. And so that group was very helpful in sort of making sure that we were meeting everybody's needs. Property managers, while they're not privy to any of the protected information, they might identify a problem quicker than we do sometimes, just because they might see something or something might be reported. And they were doing a lot of inspections the last couple of months, so we got a lot of information that way as well. We have been focusing a lot on the inspections. We've had a fair amount of failed inspections at this site, and also at
Here at
Melrose.
Hayes?
Yes. And so we're working with property management to make sure that people can pass the next inspection. The other big thing that we worked on and we continue to work on is our collaboration with the fire department. We, outside of having them attend our inspections, we've also been just utilizing them more often, the health officer, and also just sort of pulling them in when we've had some issues, safety concerns, and that has been really helpful. So we continue to build that relationship. We have brought them to every single housing site to do a presentation, and that was really wonderful. A lot of residents turned out and asked a lot of questions because the safety concerns are different depending on where people are located. The SASH program has been really entrenched in this new program called Care Navigator. It's a program, it's a computer program through One Care Vermont, and it helps to coordinate care amongst hospitals, doctors' offices, and various other organizations. So we've been working on starting the process of utilizing that tool. We've also been, we've started a program at Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust, so we have this nice partnership. Shauna's been doing a wonderful job at offering programs there and also at, enrolling participants at 2 specific housing sites, the Burr Street property and the Guilford property, the Algiers property. And then we continue, the nurses continuing to focus on having a strong presence around people who are newly diagnosed with diabetes and also hypertension. The FSS program has a new grading method, and it's around participation, wages, and graduation. And wages counts as 50% of the overall scoring. So Lucy and I have been working on a plan. Lucy's done a lot of work to focus on education and increasing people's wages. And she really feels that by helping people to get more skills, then in the long run their wages will go up. So she's been collaborating with a lot of local organizations who offer training. She's gone to visit some local schools, the Vermont Technical Institute, CCV, or the Community College of Vermont, and she's also been working with workforce development.
I'm impressed with the note that the Family Self-Sufficiency helped coordinate teeth extraction and procurement of funds for dentures,
Yeah.
the United Way Dental Fund.
Yeah, it was a goal that this person had, and they really, they are, without giving out too much information, they really needed to have this done in order to find a job. And so it really fell right into the purview of the program. And I think that Lucy gets a lot of support from the SASH program because we might know more of those resources, so we collaborate a lot about how to get this done. And Ross program is really focused on getting summer programs ready. We just finished our April lunch program, which is a program that is funded through the Rotary, and they donate money, and then our residents do the shopping, and they do the cooking, and the preparation, and the cleaning. And Lorelei really has cultivated this amazing volunteer-run program where it's all done by our residents, which is great. And so she's focused on family activities, the family sites activities for the summer, because we always know that, you know, like anywhere, summer people get hot and the kids kind of get bored, so we're looking at some stuff to bring specific programs to the sites. And with that, I'm going to add that, so our van has since passed away. We had this trip, which was wonderful, except the van broke down when we were out at the Magic Wings in Deerfield, and so we had to get somebody to help us to get home, and the Thompson House just stepped right in, and they were just such an amazing partner, and they were our guardian angel that day. So we've decided since then, because we've been having so many problems with the van, that we probably will no longer use the van, and so that's a big disappointment to a lot of our residents, because they love going places. So we're looking at a plan to see how much it would cost to take small trips, renting, so.
What we did in talking about the funds that.
That was it.
That is
When I
wonderful.
saw those balances, I said,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
And the RAB group, the Resident Advisory Board group, has just grown significantly. And they have talked to us a lot about, we always do this one big trip every summer, which goes to Hampton Beach. And they've talked a lot about the idea that maybe that isn't the best use of our funds, that maybe we break it up into 4 small trips, like go to Spofford Lake or Townsend Dam or something else. So we're looking into what that would look like, because having one trip in the summer, it might be nice to bring the kids to multiple small things instead. So, and that group has just, Lorelei's done a wonderful job in just cultivating that group. They are just, it has gotten very strong and very helpful.
Yeah.
And so we used them when we talked about, we gave them the information about the AC policy and the implementation, and they were very helpful in helping us to understand what our residents needed in terms just to understand the policy. And they've been just very helpful with helping us to understand better ways of communicating. And then we also, they really wanted to put signs up. I don't know if this was in our packet, but a few months ago, I think actually when we started the RAB board, they had talked about getting signs for the property that say, hate has no home here. And so we've been asking them to help us to design them. And so we're trying to get some designs from kids and then to have these made as soon as possible to hang at our properties.
So what we'd like to do is have the banners We had, we're going smoking banners, you've seen them on properties and at the fence, at the entrance to Ledgewood. So we'd like to use those big banners, but also get you usually see them when people are running for office, that, those lawn signs, but ones that the tenants could put in their windows. And they really wanted, they said, would we do that? And I thought, yeah, of course we would. That's great. And I think that can also add to, we've talked to them and they've set up sort of safe places for kids to go on their way home if something happens. And we thought using these signs would be another way for kids to know that's a house where I can just go. So it's really, really been a great change, and I thank the board for letting us try it out because it's really working.
I don't know whether people have seen the results
Oh,
of
yeah.
the Decorate Your Door theme in March was Your Dream Vacation. And there were 3 winners, most color, and this was at High Rise?
The Sam Elliott Building,
Sam
yes.
Elliott.
In response to when we had asked residents to no longer decorate in the hallways, they can only decorate their door, there was a lot of resistance, and so Lorelei came up with this idea, and then so a lot of people have really taken to it, and we've gotten some great results. And she gives out prizes.
They're
And-
wonderful. I don't know whether you can see these or not, but these are the 3 doors that were decorated. Most colorful, most original, and best connection to the theme. So we talked.
I would want mine on the inside of the door.
Right. The Sash Flash newsletter, you do such a good job.
That my staff does a great job, and they are really the creative ones. They have that touch. Shauna and Lorelei are both very, very creative, which I appreciate, because I am not as creative as they are.
The U is collective.
Yes.
Welcome to the month of April. And April's health topic, Lyme disease, which is very, very important.
Our Sash nurse has picked a different topic for every month of the year. And so this month was Lyme disease, and she prepares a presentation, and she offers a blood pressure clinic at each site, and then does the presentation at the same time.
Wonderful.
And this one was great because we had a lot of staff that attended, including our maintenance staff, because they're outside so much doing
Absolutely.
lawn work. So they got a lot of great information.
Yeah.
And the bulletin board,
Mhm.
again, April fun facts, and IBS awareness, so that there's a lot of very good, useful information. I think. Vermont Tech, and the SASH calendar. For March and April. And then housing choice voucher program, shelter plus care, transitions to housing. Blue. Any questions? Happy, George? We remain at 134 vouchers leased, close to our budget maximum. And I'm guessing that there is very little chance that that will increase.
Right.
So that there, for Shelter Plus Care, there's one subsidy pending due to participants' expected completion in a treatment program. Seeing their concern about, we too also supporting the Shelter Plus landlord in terminating a participant's lease due to their roommate's illegal drug activity. How much does that impinge on the success of Shelter Plus Care?
Like how often does that happen, or?
Not very often.
Not very often.
No, this is a very unusual in Shelter Plus Care. It's actually more common in public housing,
Mhm.
but this was really a first in Shelter Plus Care.
Mm.
But David did a great job of working with the landlord in particular on this issue.
Mhm. Okay. The financial review, checklisting. Donna has been doing check signing for April.
Yeah,
And
I
Tom,
think-
you're,
I'm lined up
You're
for
lined up?
next month.
May, yeah.
and I'm happy to do June, except that I will be away for one, or maybe I'll be back in time. There's 1 week when I'm at a conference, but I'm happy
Okay,
to do that.
we can also,
I'll sign myself in.
okay, all right.
I will not be available for a lot of August.
Oh,
So if you need someone for July or, whenever.
yeah. Well, we'll see how Chris
Mhm.
Conley's doing. We can always,
Yes.
Okay.
get her in a
Well,
rotation.
her term
Oh,
will
that's
be
right.
up, so perhaps we should ask,
Yeah,
is she, Pat, you may know what's happening with Chris better than I do.
I haven't heard from her at all.
Don't hear from her.
Just if she needs a ride,
Okay.
and
yes.
I'm contacted.
Chris said she was moving today, and whether that meant she's able to drive and,
I don't know.
okay. So it makes sense for me to do June.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a reminder, we'll be looking
Right.
to find another person
Yeah.
willing to serve as a new commissioner. Which would be great.
Yeah.
And do you want to fill us in on the big projects?
Oh, the big project. So, on the rental assistance demonstration, we had a very good meeting, or phone call last week with our transaction manager, who is a private consultant. And we're now really working hard on getting the documents together. Christine and I went to the MTW conference. I don't know if you want to say a few words
Sure,
about
it was
that?
wonderful. It was very inspiring. We were one of only, I think, 5 organizations that were there that were applying for moving to work. Everybody else was already a moving work agency. So we got to see some really amazing projects, and also just talk about, some of the possibilities. A lot of these organizations are really big, so that's a little different from us. Most people sounded very positive that we had applied. They said, oh, you'll definitely get in. I didn't get a really clear indication of how many people are actually applying. It didn't seem like that many, and I know that HUD is really trying to get more people to apply, so we'll see. But we definitely, I learned a lot about it, and it kind of really opened my eyes to some of the possibilities will be. I think one of the things that will really be, and we knew this, but just the tracking, lots of documenting. I think that was the big piece of creating the reports and working with HUD to make sure that your measures are being met.
My understanding of moving to work is that you have much more freedom, but you need to set targets and have documentation on reaching those targets.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you have to have baseline information. So when we get an inkling, if we are going to be chosen, then we'll need to really start collecting baseline information on some of the things that we're doing that are at least, for the first year, things that we'd like to change, like the combined wait list and things like that. So Christine has sort of held off on pushing the staff on that, which makes sense until we have a better idea of whether or not we're going to.
So what kinds of things do they consider for a baseline?
I think measuring, the amount of time, the time that it takes to process applications and to, maybe we could look at how long it takes people to apply using various different forms, but then also like what we do in-house and how to simplify that. They also look at things like, some people change the FSS program. And it is more, it'll be that everybody works in FSS and that they
Family
get,
self-sufficiency.
yeah, and then they get small amounts as they go on for meeting certain goals. And so we would probably have to measure how our program is working now, which is why I'm always talking to our staff about, write your reports like you're writing a grant, because we want to start thinking about what it's going to look like to really measure some of those things.
Good.
I mean, inspections as well, the amount of time it takes for us to do inspections, if we want to continue to do yearly inspections, what that looks like.
I think the amount of, and not just time, but it's more quality, it's a little harder to measure, but certainly if for our elderly and non-elderly disabled, we're going to go on a every 2 or 3 year recertification, how long does it take them to collect all that? And we can sort of tell the story that we know, which is it's very nerve-wracking for them to put all that together and then to sit down with us, and even though the staff is great about it, it's still
Collecting all of the financial
Yeah,
data that determine the rent.
Yeah, so just saving them that, that yearly drudgery and anxiety, there's some real value in there. And I think we can get, of course it's not numbers, but it certainly would be stories and responses from our residents about appreciating that, and that they don't think it's necessary that we do that every year.
Any comments, questions on either RAD or MTW moving to work? The FEMA PDMA.
So the environmental assessment was published in the paper, and when was it published? A week ago Friday or 2 weeks ago Friday. So we are coming close to the closing period for that comment period. And after that, we have been told that we think FEMA will be putting together the materials to give us the award. How long that will take, I have no idea.
And again, the award is the funds that we need to take the buildings in Melrose down that are no longer occupied and in the floodway.
And do the whole,
Do the restoration
$10 million
of
project.
the,
right. So,
does the whole project involve the expanding, basically, of flood storage water area?
it does,
So that it means there'll be less pressure south of here if
exactly,
there were a flood.
right. So Melrose is 8.11 acres, and over 5 of it will be turned into water storage. And the way it's designed, which I think is great, having stood on that bridge and heard all the gas and oil and propane tanks banging against it as they made their way south. It's designed so that those big items can float up to the top and then stay there as the water comes down. So that would be very good. That's a really, it's a great plan, and I hope that we're able to move forward a little bit on it this year. We'll see.
hard to remember that the tropical storm Irene flood was 2011,
I
and here we
know.
are in 2019, still trying to adjust this property to what was required.
Yep.
Red Clover 2, 3, no,
Red Clover 2, unfortunately, we did not get our Vermont Housing Finance Agency tax credit allocation in April. We hope that we will get it next April when we're back. We are going for VHCB funds in June, and we have a community development block grant application through the town in. We have reviewed the plans with residents in both developments. And now we're going to start, even though we don't have the tax credit funding, we are going to start really working on finalizing the plans. So we'd like to be in a position next April where if assuming that we do get our tax credits, we could be ready for bidding and construction starting in late summer of next year. That's where that is.
So, unless there are, well, there is a note on the May meeting, which is important for us. I hope we'll be a full complement of commissioners. We will have a hearing on the 2018 and 2019 capital fund. Review the end of the year budget, and action will be needed to be taken on the Section 8 Management Assessment Program. Final, CMAP.
Yeah, so we will have those. We did get more capital fund money than we thought we were going to get. We $544,713, which is great. So Jack has been madly, reallocating it, and that's very, very good for us because we have a lot of mandatory work that we have to do in preparation for the RAD closing and then in the first year. And it looks like we'll be able to get it all done with these 2 years of capital fund that have been so high. So, but we have to have another hearing on it. So that's, the warning's gone in and it will be in May.
Now, I think we have received no, I think we haven't received that capital fund.
You have not.
So we'll get that.
No, you'll
For the May
you'll get
meeting.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
And the next is to enter executive session to discuss personnel matters. Do I hear a motion to enter executive session?
I'll move that.
Seconded.
All right, thank you. We'll reverse that. All those in
Okay.
favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.